So if you've been trying to make an income with your music, but feel like you're at a standstill and making zero progress, you're not alone. When I first started out, I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing next or what I should be focusing on. And I also had this internal belief that because I had raw talent, that I was just going to be in the right place at the right time. And then somebody was going to spot me and pluck me out of the crowd. Wait a minute. You right there, you've got real talent. I am about to change your life. Come on, let's go sign a record deal. You don't even need an attorney. And then boom, placements, record deals, fame, fortune, Billboard charting songs. In my fairy tale of a mind, the music industry operated exactly as I had seen on TV, and my life was a missing storyline from Step Up or Dreamgirls or something like that. But once I snapped into reality and realized life doesn't work like that, at least not for everybody. And I started to cross paths with professional working musicians and songwriters. I actually quickly realized I wasn't ready for any of this. Maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was. Not that I never would be, I just wasn't yet. And I didn't even understand the skills and techniques that I was missing. Fast forward to now, my music has aired on some of the biggest shows on TV, has been licensed hundreds of times by different indie artists across the internet, but none of that happened overnight. It happened because I stopped relying on luck or hoping that somebody was going to open a door for me, and I figured out exactly where I stood in the music industry and what steps I needed to take to get to the next level. So in this video, I'm going to help you do the very same thing. We're going to break down all the tiers in that invisible music industry career pyramid that nobody talks about. The real reason most songwriters stay stuck in their careers and the steps you can take to finally start seeing progress. The invisible music industry pyramid. Once you know where you are in the pyramid, you can stop wasting time and start moving with intention. I think early on in my career, I would have appreciated an orientation or a map, something that showed me where I could go from where I was starting. I just had no idea what I actually needed to learn until I started playing my songs for actual people. And I'm not talking about my friends. I'm not talking about my family. I'm talking about actual musical professionals who didn't know me and didn't care about hurting my little feelings. Mind you, this entire time in my lifespan, I was thinking I was playing smash hits, classics, and they were probably thinking, how can I stop this girl from playing any more songs? Before I even show you this pyramid, I want to say whatever level you end up being at, it's just dropping a pin on that location. It's giving you a starting point, and it doesn't mean that you're not good enough. I just wanted to share this invisible pyramid to help you get an understanding of how the music industry works and where you might be in it, and why certain things may not be working for you right now. And once you've figured all that out, you can make a plan and move forward. Keeping in mind, music is nuanced, and this is a very big generalization. Level 1 is the most obvious. It's going to be the consumer level. This is where everyone starts. You're a listener, you're a concert goer, you're a merch buyer. You do what consumers do. We all do this, right? We're all fans of music, and I believe it starts here. That's how you know you want to go into music, is something lit up a spark in you, and it's probably another artist or another song in a movie or something. So it's obvious to say that's level 1. Everybody's here. It's also the biggest level on the pyramid. There's no door that you have to break down to get in. Level 2, that's going to be a hobbyist. A hobbyist is going to start taking things a little bit more seriously than a consumer would. You're starting to create for fun. You might know how to play an instrument or want to learn how to play an instrument, but you're still not really taking music that seriously, and you're not trying to get paid for it. You might be the kind of person who buys vinyls or wants those super high quality versions of the song. There's no real pressure or motivation here to improve or monetize. It's literally just a creative outlet. Level 3 is going to be the amateur level. Amateurs have made the decision to start taking music seriously. There's goals that you want to reach. You aspire to make an actual income from your music. Maybe it's just a side hustle, or maybe it's your full-time career, but this is where that mindset starts to kick in at the amateur level. This is where education starts to become important. And it doesn't have to mean like you're going to go enroll in college and go get a music education. It could just mean you're getting educated through experience, learning how to songwrite better, produce better, all of the things that go into being a professional. This is the time you want to do that. But we'll dive deeper into the whole education aspect in a few minutes, so I won't go too far into it. Level 4, the professional. At this point, you've built a reputation for yourself. You may not be a household name, but people in the industry know who you are. Your name's coming up in conversations. You start to become relied upon from other professionals, executives, major or underground artists, high-profile brands or productions trust you with their project. The longer you work in the professional realm, that's when you start getting awards and plaques and a list of credits that's pretty impressive. And potentially, music could be your full-time job. Although I know plenty of professionals who do it part-time, I also feel professionals do start to bleed in with level 5, which is, for lack of better words, the elite level. It's the smallest part of the pyramid, which in my eyes means less people reach this point. And maybe we can debate in the comments what elite means to you. If you're an elite, you're operating at the top 1% of the industry. You're highly skilled, experienced, connected, and often recognized publicly. And not just in your niche, in the broader music industry, and maybe you're a household name. You likely have top charting songs, tons of awards, and major label credits. Your name carries real weight. You're trusted by your peers and even the public, and you're consistently working on high-level opportunities. You might have a team of agents, managers, lawyers, and a label and a publisher. You've built a catalog of work that isn't just good, it's influential in the culture. This is where I would consider somebody like Ryan Tedder or Esther Dean or Pharrell, songwriters and producers or artists whose experience in the industry is that of the top 1%. Everybody isn't going to get work like this. But before we move on to the next section and start talking about how you can move up the tiers, I just want you to remember that even the people who are at the elite level, the top 1%, started at the consumer level. So sometimes when I see one person accomplish something, it gives me hope that I can do it too, because we're all humans. Some of us have more advantages than the other, but we're all still humans who can, with the right amount of determination, can accomplish these same things. Section 2, what it takes to move up. The biggest difference between consumers, hobbyists, amateurs versus professionals and elites is that the professional and elites have mastered 3 key areas, give or take. There might be 5, but right now we're sticking to 3. They have mastered their instrument, the business, marketing, and visibility. So when I say master your instrument, I'm not just talking about learning the guitar or playing an instrument. If you're a singer, yes, you should be in vocal lessons and doing all of those things to become even better at your craft. But you should also be learning the art of songwriting, the art of production. And just like how back in the day, artists used to have artists in development, the label would do what they could to make you the best artist that you can be. This is still a thing in K-pop and J-pop and all those different types of pops, which we witnessed on the Netflix show about Cat's Eye. Am I the only nerdy person who watches like K-pop stuff? But they still really believe in artists in development. Their artistry looks different than somebody who just popped up on stage and didn't have any kind of training to figure out how to be great, right? So it's not just mastering the basics of like playing chords and singing a couple runs, but the actual art of whatever it is that you're doing. In songwriting, there are different techniques, which we've talked about on this channel before. There are tons of different techniques to make your lyrics better, to make your melodies better, to make your song more commercially appealing. So mastering your instrument, mastering your craft is going to be a game changer. And that is going to be one thing that helps you get to the next level, which is a professional who consistently makes money. The same thing goes for producers. I've heard so many beats by newer producers that actually are really incredible, but maybe the beat isn't an actual full song. A lot of producers are just kind of looping the same things over and over again, and they don't understand the art of arranging an actual song for a songwriter, or even the art of arranging music for television and film. If you really want to be professional, you have to start putting your mind in those places. Are you arranging the beats so an actual song can fit in them? Are you going crazy with the melodies and no songwriter will be able to fit in with it? You need to understand how your craft translates into different spaces. You're not just trying to make cool stuff. That's for hobbyists and consumers. If you're trying to be a professional, you need to make stuff that can compete and help you get paid. Mastering the business. Once you understand the rules of the game, then and only then can you start being creative. And when you know your options, you can make better deals. You're always going to hear me say music is nuanced, and so are deals. Not every deal is good for every scenario, but there is a rhyme and a reason for different types of deals. I know it's popular in the music industry to be like,
never give up your rights, never share your publishing.
And in some instances, I would agree. In other instances, I wouldn't. If you're working on television and film, and maybe they want to buy your song as a theme song, you might have to give up some rights. But if your song's going to be blasted across everybody's television for the next 20 years, it could be in your benefit to share your rights. But I mean, don't get screwed over. Understand the business, and then you can figure out the best way to move forward. Definitely always have a lawyer as well to help you navigate deals that are as complicated as, getting a theme song or a TV placement, a record deal, a publishing deal. You should have an attorney to help you navigate, but that doesn't mean you should solely rely on the attorney to relay every single detail to you. You should have some kind of understanding of what's wrong, what's right, what you deserve, what's normal, what's not normal. Sometimes sharing your rights could be worth it. Not always, but if your song is just sitting on your hard drive and someone has connections or a way to monetize it, splitting ownership could be better than doing nothing at all. Having a percentage of something is better than having a percentage of nothing. So if you don't understand publishing, royalties, and masters, and all of the things that go, all of the elements that go into the music industry and your income, then you're going to be missing out on money. You could be walking away from good opportunities because you don't understand what's going on and how you could have made that situation work for you. So if you've mastered your craft and you feel like you have the best music, but you have no idea how to operate in the music business, then you are not ready to go to the next level of being a professional, because you need to know what you're doing. It will change your mindset and open doors for you to make money. How can you learn the business? I went to a music school and I did have a minor in music business where we learned a lot of things, reading contracts, how all kinds of different branches work in the music industry. There's YouTube University. There's so many people who break down the music industry on here really, really well. You can also just get hands-on experience working in the music industry, intern somewhere, get a job in a recording studio, try to get a mentorship with a songwriter or producer if possible. These things might not be available to you, but you can try and you can ask. So the more you know, the better off you'll be. The third thing to master is marketing and visibility. Marketing can mean a lot of different things depending on your goals. There are a couple different ways you can go about approaching this specific section. Social media being the easiest, most affordable route for anyone. It's accessible to anyone. It's the lowest hanging fruit. Social media can absolutely help you skip the line. You might be able to go from amateur to professional, or amateur all the way up to elite, depending on how good your social media skills are. I've seen it happen. We're seeing it happen all the time on TikTok. I wouldn't go in blind. You should be strategic about how you're going to stand out amongst everyone else who is competing against you and trying to skip the line too. And keep in mind, these people who we see blowing up on TikTok and Instagram and whatever other platform is out now, it's not usually a coincidence. It's not by accident. They've already been working hard on their craft, selling beats online, playing shows, making tons of songs consistently. And the social media platform that they're blowing up on is just giving them the leverage they were missing to advance to the next level. With visibility comes new opportunities. You might not have to go seeking out the publishing deal. You might not have to go seek out the label deal. You might not have to seek out a collaboration with a high profile client. Sometimes if they spot you online, they might come looking for you. This has happened to me. This has happened to several of my friends. It happens. People will slide in your DMs and your emails. Other things you can focus on in this marketing realm is building your own community. Of course, you can always run ads. Running ads just requires you to have money. So if you are someone who is still in the amateur level, who isn't making substantial money yet from their music, maybe keep your regular job and use that to run ads on something you're working on musically. Just make sure if you're running ads on something that is worth people clicking on and worth your hard-earned dollars. You don't want to just blindly post things that lead back to nothing of importance that isn't going to help you grow. You can run a challenge or a campaign that attracts new people who have maybe never heard of you before. I've also seen people pay for billboards or do pop-ups. These are extreme examples and maybe something you should wait for if you have the money to actually do it. But it all comes back down to marketing. Of course, touring and doing shows is another way to get eyeballs on your content and earballs on your music. Hiring a PR company, which can get pricey, but if you're at a certain level in your music, it could be really helpful if you find the right publicist to work with. I know that this can sometimes get a little murky as well. You can get on playlists, which could be easier said than done. And depending on how well your social media is doing, there are also strategic partnerships with brands and other creators who may be doing good on social media as well. There's another side of marketing that doesn't have to be loud and in your face. And for a while, this is the path I had chosen. It's quiet, but powerful. Getting your music into music libraries, pitching to sync reps, TV and film. When your music's playing on TV and film, you can get a lot of listeners. Sometimes if it's on a really popular show, there's millions of people who watch those shows and then decide to go Shazam your songs and add them to your playlist. This is great for visibility and doesn't require you to get too much out of your comfort zone other than getting accepted into those music libraries or by sync reps. You can also pitch yourself via DM or email, which sometimes it could be hit or miss if somebody doesn't want to be solicited to. And it could also come down to the email or message that you're sending. Is it personalized to the person or brand that you're sending it to? Are you offering them something in return? Because sometimes people will pitch themselves and all they include in the message is what the other person can do for them and not what they can do as well for this person. So you have to kind of put your thinking cap on and market yourself in that sense of the word. What is going to make you special? What's going to make someone want to answer you back? And that's a whole other topic in itself. I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole. Just pitch yourself wisely because you only get one first impression. And if somebody's first impression is you being ridiculous in their DMs, then good luck to you. Other avenues that, could be hit or miss as well, but are real things is hiring a manager. But of course you need a manager who is well connected. That's the whole point. And they need to be able to introduce you to the right people and create opportunities for you. You can also experience this with an entertainment attorney. That happened for me when I was doing traditional songwriting. I found an entertainment attorney and they helped me get into places I couldn't get into on my own. Also, collaborating with other creators is very, very, very important. And I don't mean collaborating with creators who are necessarily outside of your tier. If you're an amateur, you should find other amateurs to collaborate with, because if that person who's on your level is as serious as you both will grow together and start advancing to higher levels. And the whole dynamics of your relationship could change for the better. And that person can end up being a very key connection. So don't forget to network with the people who are on your level and grow from there. Also keep in mind, networking is marketing. Networking at industry events and songwriting camps, you still have to position your work in a specific light to sell it to this person. And you're bridging the gap between your music and the people who can do something with your music. Networking is absolutely crucial. How you frame yourself and present yourself is a marketing skill. So to start wrapping this section up, the core of all the stuff I just mentioned is discoverability. Can people find you? Do they know what you do? And when they find you, are you ready? You can be the most talented person in the room, but if nobody knows you exist, it's going to be very, very hard for you to continue to move up the pyramid. You don't have to be loud to be seen. You can move quietly. Just make sure you have a strong catalog of music that speaks for itself. And if you're serious about your music, you have to master these things: your craft, the business, marketing, and visibility. You don't have to master all three of these at once, but if you've been feeling stuck or as if you're making zero progress, the chances are something's wrong in one of these areas and you need to focus on that. The reality of living the life of a professional in the music industry. Once you finally start making your way up the music industry pyramid, what does life actually look like? Before you commit to a life in music, it's very important to understand it's not a road to instant wealth and riches. The people who may appear to have attained wealth or even fame have been at it for a very long time. They've been at it for years. Being a professional or an elite is being an entrepreneur. You create your own income streams, whether it's from placements, licensing, live shows, or some kind of musical freelance service. No one is handing you a paycheck every 2 weeks. You have to think outside of the box and be very resourceful to generate income. Sometimes it feels as though making money in the music industry is scarce, especially for indie artists. So you have to look under every nook and cranny to figure out how you're going to stand out and generate some income. You're pretty much always on the hunt for the next opportunity to make a profit, unless you found an avenue that is consistently paying you an income to create music. And these things do exist, but it might require you to have a very special skill or be like a composer or sign with some kind of agency that's working on a production of some sort. Just because you landed something big does not mean you should slow down. That's why it's important to always have something in the pipeline. The deal can get delayed or canceled. The checks can take months or not come when your bills are due. This is just the annoying, frustrating, and sometimes sad reality of working in music. You don't want to put yourself in a place where you're quietly panicking because none of your checks have arrived. This is also a really big reason as to why sometimes I encourage people to keep music as their side hustle until they've gotten to a place where music is making more than their regular job. Or if you're in a position where you can take bigger risks, then by all means. But you do want to be careful because it's a risky industry to work in, and that's just the name of the game. Something else to keep in mind is that visibility doesn't always equal income. If you don't have the right strategy behind your visibility, you could very much so be popular and broke. And the opposite can be true. You could be unknown and making a very solid income with your music. And also, depending on the path you pick for your music industry career income generating journey, you might not always be able to work on your dream projects. This is definitely reality if you're in the freelance space. Sometimes you have to work on what comes to you. I mean, of course, you need to make sure they're paying the rate that you set and they're following the deal terms that you are asking for. But sometimes it might not be your dream project. I think sometimes people turn down opportunities because it's not something they envision themselves working on. But that's going to be the difference between you being a full-time musician and maybe not being a full-time musician. And there's nothing wrong with either side of it. Sometimes as a professional, you are working on projects that aren't your personal vision of your own music, but somebody else's, the person who's paying the fee for the project. So keep that in mind. I started losing steam yesterday and I had to come back on a new day, but here we are, carrying on. So to wrap up this section of the reality of living the life of a professional in the music industry, as you're climbing this invisible music industry pyramid, just keep in mind the most important trait you can have is the ability to be adaptable and resourceful. There's always something changing, AI, new plugins, new tools that can do this or do that. The artists and creators who are able to adapt to the new way of life, the new landscape, are going to be the ones that have longevity. The next section, the amateur blind spot. Why you might be feeling behind. This is where we have to start facing some hard truth, some tough love. A lot of people tend to feel stuck or frustrated because potentially you've been misclassifying yourself. Ooh, I hate to say it, but I've done this before, so no judgment. It may be tough to hear. It may be something you don't want to zoom out and look at from a different perspective. Maybe you thought you were professional or even elite, and maybe you're still amateur or even operating at a hobbyist level. You need to take a step back and see if any of those key areas that we talked about before, mastering your craft, the business, marketing, and visibility, is there something in there that you need to really do a deep dive on? Do you need to get more hands-on experience, learn from a mentor or other creators who are doing something in that corner of the music industry better than you? You don't want to skip some of the important steps in between as you're trying to level up the pyramid. How do you know when you've been an amateur for so long that you are a pro? There's no real clear-cut answer for this, but there will be signs. If you've mastered your craft, do people really want to listen to your music? Are the only people showing up to your performances your family or your friends who are hyping you up but not really fans? Do strangers respond well to your performances if you're performing somewhere live? Have you ever sat in a meeting meeting and played your music for somebody that works in the music industry, what's the response? Is it constructive feedback to go and fix a couple of things, or are they meeting you with new opportunities? Are they so excited to go share that song with someone else and set you up on another meeting that could lead to income or a placement or a really cool project? Because the bottom line is none of this matters if you don't actually have good music. Good music is subjective, but if the majority of the feedback or responses that you're getting on your music is negative, then you probably need to go back to the drawing board and fix something. Just because your music isn't good right now doesn't mean it never will be. It just means you need to take the feedback, put that into your music creation process, and come back better. You don't have to quit just because it's not where it's supposed to be yet. That's the whole point of operating as an amateur. You're there to learn and grow until all of this practice leads to actual progress. Because if you haven't mastered that, nothing's really going to save it. You can't really market your way out of bad music. Networking's only going to take you so far if you don't actually have the right sound to back up your claims. If you end up making connections and someone finally gets the door open for you, your music is what's going to keep you in the room and continue opening up other doors, additional doors in the future. When you're in the amateur territory, don't be discouraged. Don't slow down. Just take this as the time to learn and improve and to become great at your craft in all senses of the word. So go do the work, read books, watch tutorials, take an internship, go to the industry events, take the workshops and the classes. Because in addition to doing all of this, you're not going to just be improving your skills, you'll also be meeting the people who will move up with you. A really big mistake you could be making that's leading to your frustrations or why you're feeling so behind in your career could be that you're comparing yourself to the people who are way ahead of you in their careers. They maybe have years on you. Maybe it's your day 1 or even your day 10. It's still not long enough to be comparing yourself to like the top 1% of writers, artists, executives in the elite level. It's okay to not be great instantly. We all have to go through it. Once you know what you're not good at, you can improve and be great at it. Eventually. You don't have to do it immediately. Unless you're like a child prodigy or something. I don't know how that works, but that didn't happen to me. So just remember, if your music sucks right now, it can only get better from here. If you do the work. Start with the end in mind. Something I wish I started thinking about sooner was my actual end game. I knew I wanted to be in music. I knew I wanted to write songs and do all the things, but where am I going? Because there's so many directions you can go with songwriting and music. Where do you want to actually end up? What's the actual reality behind your dream? The beneath the surface. What does your day-to-day look like? What are you able to do? What kind of freedom do you have? What does life actually look like? What's the end game? I think initially I just did what I thought you were supposed to do. I moved to LA, went to music school, started meeting other creators and songwriters. I started emulating what I saw created success. Getting a publishing deal, writing for major artists, going to songwriting camps, meeting people and networking and trying to get placements. I never really stopped and asked myself, why are you doing this? What do you want from this? Do I even like doing this? It just felt like the default path to creating a career in music. Sometimes I think the most visible path is the one you end up choosing rather than one nobody's walked before. And you could say that this was a sign I was definitely in the amateur mindset. I wasn't thinking like an entrepreneur or a professional in music. I didn't pause to explore my options or ask, what do I want this to grow into? I wasn't being creative or resourceful. I was just following the path that I had seen work for everybody else. But for me, it just kind of ultimately led to burnout and lack of interest in what I was doing because I wasn't really passionate about this particular angle in songwriting. I like songwriting, but this traditional path that I was following, I wasn't that into it. And some people thrive in it and love it and do so great, but there was just something not fulfilling about it for me at that moment. And to be clear, I don't regret the path that I chose in the past because in hindsight, all the years I spent living my life this way, I learned how to write better songs, how the music industry really works, how to build relationships, network, and how to navigate complex deals. All those experiences helped me build what I have now. But if I had moved with intention a little bit earlier, with my end game in mind, who knows where I could be? Maybe I could have just started some of the endeavors that I'm working on now a little bit sooner and been further along. As you start to go up that invisible pyramid and you've solidified your end game goal, all your major goals really, and you start attaining them, it may be revealed to you that this end game that you had in mind may not be everything you thought it was in reality. It happens all the time. I mean, and even just entrepreneurs in general, you may be working years and years on a business, only to discover that this business is not what you thought it was going to be. It's not making the money you wanted to make. You don't have the lifestyle you wanted to live. And in that moment, I would encourage you not to be afraid to pivot. I see so many people start going down a path that they're like, oh God, I regret this path. I don't want to be down here anymore. And then they're afraid to turn around and just try something else. And that to me is that trait of adaptability and being resourceful, is sometimes the picture starts to change a little bit. The end game starts to look a little different, and it's okay to pivot. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, it might come with sacrifices or changes in your finances. People might look at you a little funny, but at the end of the day, you're going to be happy in your life. You're watching me pivot right now. I've pivoted millions of times. I pivoted from my traditional songwriting career where I had the publishing deal and was writing for, major labels and all that kind of stuff. And then I went from there to the freelance songwriting where I was working on Sound Better and BeatStars, all of those kinds of things. And I'm pivoting where the focus is my in-game goals, which is my business, Love Pulse, creating music for TV and film, that kind of thing, and my YouTube channel. So do not be afraid to pivot. It could be the best thing you've ever done. And if it ends up being the worst thing you've ever done, pivot again. So in order to figure out that end game, think about a few years into the future and maybe what an ideal day or week looks like for you. Are you a signed artist? Are you touring? Are you in the studio all the time, working and collaborating with other artists and producers on major labels? Are you writing songs for TV and film full time? Knowing your actual destination is going to help you filter out what opportunities you should be saying yes to and what opportunities you potentially shouldn't waste your time on. It's also going to help you see what relationships you really need to build and nurture, and where and when to be investing all your time and energy. Having an end game will keep you focused and on a very intentional path. The path that you see all the other creators and artists walking may not be your path. And that's very common in the music industry. I think a lot of people think there's only one way to get there, and there's so many ways, and some of the ways may not have been walked yet. And it might require you to do it and tell us what happened so that we can maybe forge a new path from there. So it is important to take some time and think about your end game so that you can move with intention and purpose and find a corner of the music industry that's fulfilling for you. So we covered so much. It took me 2 days to film this. So let's do a quick recap in case you forgot. In section 1, we talked about where you are in the music industry on that invisible pyramid that we created. In the lowest, easiest access tier, we had consumers, and then hobbyists, and then amateurs, professionals, and elite. The tiniest part of the pyramid because it's the hardest part to crack, but it's not impossible. If you move with intention, you can become a professional or an elite yourself. In section 3, the 3 pillars that you need to master in order to start moving up that ladder. 1, being master your craft. 2, being mastering the business. And 3, being mastering marketing and visibility. You may not need to accomplish all of them at once, but if you are frustrated and feeling stuck in the current position that you're in, it could be that one of those areas needs some attention. In section 3, we talked about the realities of being a professional in the music industry. And the bottom line was, it's not always a fairy tale. It's not always pretty. Sometimes your paychecks are going to be delayed, and it's best to always have something loaded up in the pipeline of opportunities. In section 4, we talked about why you might be feeling behind, and the 2 big reasons could be that you haven't yet mastered your craft, the business, marketing, and visibility pillars, or you're still comparing yourself to people who are light years ahead of you and have been doing this for a long time, and you're getting discouraged. Maybe that's slowing down your progress. In section 5, we talked about starting with the end in mind. Knowing what your ultimate biggest goals are in music will help you move with intention and find opportunities that align with the trajectory that you want to be on, and allows you to say no to the opportunities that don't make any sense for you and your end game goals. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me. I hope that this video helped you gain perspective on where you might be currently in the music industry and how you can progress to the next level. If you want to keep diving deeper into the realm of becoming a freelance songwriter, I suggest you click this video over here. And if you want to get everything that we just talked about into one easy, simple PDF, make sure you check the description box below to get that free download.
I wear my heart on my sleeve, but you have a habit never